Thank you for joining me, Kevin Lentz, the pastor here of Trinity at Badger Ranch, for my Thursday devotion. Just kind of reminding you what we do throughout the week. On Mondays, I do devotion based on Sunday's sermon. It's just a quick recap. On Tuesdays, Ian gives his devotion, so I hope you've been able to check that out. He does a really good job. And Wednesdays, Alyssa takes her turn and does a daily devotion. So again, I encourage you to check that out as well. Again, she's phenomenal too. And on Thursdays, I come in with my devotion. And I've been looking at the book of 1 Corinthians lately. And there are 16 chapters in 1 Corinthians. We've looked at 15 of them so far. So today we're going to conclude with chapter 16. Now, for the most part, it's just Paul giving greetings to people he knows, that he thinks about, has seen, or will see, or mutual friends, things like that. Just kind of him kind of closing the book on relationships as far as the book of 1 Corinthians goes. But there are a couple of things I would like to highlight. First, of course, is chapter 16, but verses 1 and 2, which read, "Now about the collection for God's people, do what I told the Galatian churches to do. On the first day of every week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money in keeping with his income." Okay. So what was going on, there was a famine going on, and the people were trying to help those in Jerusalem who were suffering because of this. Different churches were giving wonderful contributions. And so what Paul is saying here to the Corinthians, you know what? I'm not with you all the time. I'll get to be with you later on. But every week, set something aside, and then we'll collect it when it's all together, when I get there, that we will have a large amount of money to give to those people in need. And honestly, this isn't where tithing comes from and offerings come from, but the point is well made. Set aside an offering in regards to your income, like we talk about tithing or 10% or whatever works for you. And Paul is saying set that aside so that a larger collection won't have to be taken later, but just kind of put it away on a regular basis. That's why we do take offerings on Sundays regularly to keep the regular ministry and work of God's kingdom going on here at Trinity. So again, he gives very good advice about giving to the coffers, the needs of the kingdom, so we don't have to give it all at one large lump sum at one time, but give regular weekly offerings to your church. He also says in one more place, in verse 13, he gives sort of simple little pearls of wisdom. And I'm going to look at them. The first one is, be on your guard, which makes sense coming from a missionary, because he was well aware that the devil was prowling around. Temptation is everywhere. Keep yourself in check with who you are as a child of God. So be on your guard. Stand firm in the faith. That's pretty phenomenal advice right there too. When we do that, but that means when we are tempted to do things not so pleasing to the Lord, or to sin against God, or give in to temptation, that we should stand firm, because our God stands firm in loving us. We're not alone in this. So take that stance against the wiles of this world, the sinfulness of this world, and continue to be strong. Be men of courage, or be people of courage. We want to do that. St. Paul says elsewhere that his apprentice, Timothy, is kind of a timid man. He says that God didn't give us a spirit of timidity, but of boldness. And so we should indeed be bold in what we do. We should be people of courage. Also, he then says, be strong. We're going to do that. Strong in the Lord had nothing to do with physical bodily strength, but strong in who we are. I know who I am. I am a child of God. God loves me. Christ died for me. I am convinced of that. I'm sure of that. I am strong in that positive good news. And so we give thanks what Paul says there to us and the Corinthians, but as far as what we can do on an ongoing basis in being the people of God. So thanks for joining me here today. I pray you have a blessed weekend. I hope you can join us for worship on Sunday morning at 8:30 and 10:30. And God bless. We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.